Okay, so now we're going to create a playable house, which is slightly different than a non-playable house, but we sort of go about it the same way. So the first thing I'm going to do is bring in a cube and do the exact same thing we did before. What was it, 4? 1? No, 3. No, 2. No, this one is 4. This one is 2. There we go. Okay, so what we have here is our cube, and we're ready to go. And just like before, when we're going to extrude it, but the problem is that when you want to go inside a structure in um, Maya, you can't just go inside because most engines, game engines, don't render both sides. See how inside this cube it's black and outside it's gray? In order for you to be able to see it from the inside, you need to have double walls. So it has to have these normals facing out. Right now, that's why it's gray, because these normals are facing out. And these normals are facing out too, but you're on the inside, so you can't see them on the backside. So what we need to do is we're going to extrude this whole building uh, into um, a double hulled thing, kind of like when we made the crate where we sunk it and dropped it. But first we're going to organize it a little bit so that this side, the front. Yeah. First we're going to organize a little bit so that we have a door and a window. That's what I wanted. Okay. I'm going to turn on wireframe on edge shading. There we go. Wireframe on standard. I'm going to go back to the Windows guy and go get Windows content browser and bring back our little guy, who's actually huge. So if you think of each of these cubes, I think, are meters. If you really want to, you can actually make them meters and stuff. So if we want, the house is probably about 12 feet high or something. Move it out. And so what I want to do now, right, is create a place for the door, because we're still going to cut this stuff up, but it's not going to, so if he's 6 foot, then about 7 foot here somewhere would be the door. And then I didn't leave enough room for a window, or I didn't create enough mesh for a window, so I'm going to insert an edge loop here. And I'm going to put it here. We'll make a big square window. So now I have geometry for the door and geometry for the window. Make the window a little lower by, the door is going to be one object, so it doesn't really matter, but this window here will be our door. Okay. This is our front. These are our sides. We'll make one window there. There's our window in the back. We can scooch that over. All right, so what we want to do is extrude this object as a whole so that it's double walled. And the way you do that is just to select the whole object and hit extrude, then hit R. And then just bring it up a little bit. And so now what that does is inside now there's gray as well as outside. And if we look at this in wireframe, you can see that there's an inner shell to the outer shell. So we have to be careful when we're building stuff that we don't accidentally grab the wrong thing. Okay. So let's just start this off by creating a door. And now we have a double planed thing, right? So it's a little more difficult than it was before. So if I select both of these and I hit delete, you can see that it's created a space. And we also need to delete these inner ones too. So now we can see in there, and you can see that the door jamb is there. Now we can create a door jamb, a door that a jamb that fits over there and covers that space. So the two ways of doing this are extruding it. So if I go edge and click around the edge and see it circles, that if you double click on it, it creates what's called a ring of select, which means it selects all the way around the ring. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So I'm going to extrude, but not all the way, so that I can see where my connection points are. And then I simply select vertexes using the connector deal, and I just walk around it. Connecting these things that go together. U to U. And so I purposefully left room when I extruded that so I can see, because if you get them too close, it's hard to tell if you've connected it or not. So by leaving a little room, you then have room to connect it. Okay, so now we have a nice door, although it's a little sideways. See, it's cut at a slant because I extruded it and it went sideways a little bit. So we're going to go to top view. I'm going to go to 4. Oops. And I would like these to be equal, these vertexes. So from a top view, I'm going to select these, right? And if you hit R, you can scale these so that they're plumb. It doesn't matter that they get screwed up back here. We just want the doorway to be flush. Or square. So now those two are square. And there's a slight dip in here, but that's okay. And we can do the front too, I guess. Where, because we're going to do the windows, so we might as well. So I'm going to scale these into alignment that way and scale these into alignment this way, and it'll just make things a lot easier. Something happened there, I didn't quite catch it. Right, so the only ones you can't scale into alignment, you don't want to scale these two, right, because that creates the shell. You don't want to scale these ones because that creates the shell. You don't want to scale these ones, so that creates the shell, but these ones you're okay with. We can do these ones here too. sideways. Okay, so now we do the same thing, and we're going to cut a window. And we can do the same thing here where we go to edge, ring select the edge, go almost to it, put a vertex. Now this is a very clean way to work, if you do it right. If you don't do it right, it gets really messy. But it's not the only way to work. Remember I said you could put a piece. Now we're going to need to put a piece in here anyways, right? We're going to need a window and a jamb and stuff. So we're going to have to make those separately, but we want a door that opens and maybe our window blows up or something. I don't know. So let's work on that over here. So a good way, oh, you can do it here. We'll do it here first, and then I'll do it on the other spot. A good way to create a window that fits exactly is to copy faces. So I've selected those interfaces there, and now this button here is copy faces. So I'm going to duplicate them. And then I'm just going to not try and move them because that's hard. I'm going to select that object, and I'm going to do this stuff to it so that the center's there. And just for now, I'm going to bring it out like this. And I'm also going to take this edge, oops, not that edge, this edge, and I'm going to extrude it again. So now you see I have an inner piece here. And I can create my window. I'll create my window from that here in a second. The other thing I want to do is go object. I'm going to reduce this very slightly. I'll select it again. I'm going to extrude it. Out like that. And you can see it's all black, which means that it's inside out. So you have to go to mesh display and set reverse, and it's right side out there. And now we can take this and it automatically is perfect. So that is the benefit of selecting, copying geometry off what you're building. And I can use that little line I made in the middle, right, where I duplicated it, as a line where it's supposed to sit in between. And then it's exactly in the middle. Now, once you have this piece, you can use it all over the place. Like I can duplicate that, bring it over the door jamb. Now, it doesn't fit the door jamb exactly. If that doesn't bother us, I can just select these vertexes here. And now we have a door jamb. Exciting, huh? Okay, so the other thing we can do here, right, select this box here. I'm going to cut another window. Here's our other window. And I'm going to select this object. I'm going to copy it. or go to the channel editor and rotate it the Y. Here, remember, you can just select this and start rotating, and you're like, oh, okay, it's there. 90, in case you don't remember. Bring this back here. Stick this in here like this. Go to a side view. Just make sure I'm perfectly aligned. The window itself is a little different. Hey, look, there's our guy. Now you can see as long as that cut that we made in there, right, is covered. As long as that cut we made in the window, that because I didn't go in and like this one here, right? I went in and created some geometry that sealed that up, but it doesn't really matter. You don't need to do that. You can easily create an object and then just leave it open like that, and then bring your window in and you'll never see it. And this will be attached and it'll all be the same object anyways. You just have to make sure that it covers all your seams properly, like that. Okay, so we could do another window if we wanted. I'll do one over here. This one's easy because then I can just take this object, drag that over here like this. And this one I can just take it back like this. It's a good thing about having a building where the sides are exactly the same. Okay, cool. So now we have the base of our building. And I'm going to leave them all separate at the moment. In fact, I'll select all the geometry and I'm going to do that. I don't know why these are connected underneath that. I'm going to unparent them because you don't want any of this red stuff hanging out. These things with reds are nodes and they're bad. They mess up your geometry. So, okay. Right now, so the roof is a little bit different. So we could grab these faces and extrude a roof and stuff, but it's with the under roof, it's kind of difficult. So you have two options. You can create a new cube. Well, the first option is you can extrude it like we did before. The option you should choose is to just create a new cube and then build your roof just like we did. Wait, we were the other way, huh? From the front. So then this is just like we did before. We can come in here, extrude these down. Let's do one, two at a time. If you do both sides at the same time, they start going towards each other, and that's not really what I want. So if you do it one at a time, they'll stay in place. and it's a little easier to deal with. And we can bring these out a little bit. Didn't I move these in? I messed up somewhere. Hold on a second. Take it back. There we go. There we go. Okay. I'm just going to do this one quick. Cool. And then any other stuff you'd like to build, you can add to this. Okay. So window panes need to be double planed as well. So we'll create another object for that. But this one needs to be 1 by 1 by 1. Because you really don't need any geometry for any of this stuff. Go to an orthographic view like a front view. And then this really just needs to sit inside this windowsill. And as long as it's within the sill, you're good to go. So bring this one forward, sitting within the windowsill. Sitting within the windowsill. And you can make this as thin as you want. Oops. Explode. Being cranky. In the windowsill. There. And then you can just copy that over here. And guess what? You can use your windows as a door. The only problem with the door is it has to sit inside the frame. It can't sit outside the frame. So before, if we were purposefully moving this so like you couldn't see it there, this has to sit just inside. Select the door jamb. I don't want the door jamb. I want this. With the door, you always want to leave like a little bit of space in between because it creates a really nice shadow. See? Look. Really nice shadow. Okie doke. There. I'll move the pivot over here. There is your playable house. Now you put this into the engine, you'd be able to run inside and run outside and stuff. One last thing to do, I guess. Anything that needs to move, say the door, needs to be separate. Anything that can just stay the same, not going to do anything, you can merge together. Door, house, garbage. Great. So now when you go to export this, don't select the human. Oh, by the way, I didn't put materials on all this. I could have. The video would have gone really long. But put your materials on it just like we did in the previous video. Select it and then select the pieces. Hopefully before you glue it all together, it's probably better to do that. I can now select the door in the house and go edit our file, export selection. I want to make sure I have cameras off. And then I want to save this as like building underscore playable. And save it into your folder, wherever that may be for you. There you go. And then you can just import that into the game. And we can talk about the door later, about making the door actually open and close. All right. Good luck.